It's the Wall Pod. It's the opposition preview. I'm Phill Macbeth-Seath, and today I'm joined by Joe from Burnley's Turfcast. Thanks for joining me today, Joe. How are you getting on today? You all right?
Yeah, I've had a busy one today. I've been over in Manchester. Been playing dinosaur golf with the little lad. Obviously, it's school holidays at the minute, isn't it? So it's actually a struggle to get some pods done. So obviously a new season. I'm looking forward to it, and it's good to actually sit down with somebody and talk football. You know, even if it is an opposition fan. But I haven't spoken about football, really about club football for 2 months. So it's been a tough couple of months really. So yeah, I'm good to actually just talk football.
Yeah, the Euros and the Olympics only go so much, don't they? So yeah, it'll be nice to talk about our sort of real love. So before we get stuck into the rest of the preview, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So this podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Black Star Amplification and Carry On. Today I'm using the Carry On microphone, and we're also sponsored by the Record Shop in Amersham, which have an enormous range of vinyl, audios and guitars. So if you're in Amersham, pop in. Vinyl never goes out of fashion. So anyway, moving on. So Joe, my first question to you is the sort of burning question that I could think of from an opposition's point of view, and it's how do you feel about the appointment of Scott Parker? Because he's been at this level before, smashed it with Fulham and Bournemouth. I thought it was a clever bit of business. How's it feel from your end?
Well, it's interesting because I'll be honest with you. At the time, when his name was mentioned, I wasn't, oh God, no, I don't want him. But I was like, we could probably do a bit better than that. Which sounds a bit, ridiculous considering, like you said, he's done so well at this level before. But we're always told by opposition fans, and I've seen like the likes of Gabriel Sutton and the lads from Second Tier Pod both predict finishes us finishing outside the top six, which I just think is ludicrous, if I'm honest with you. But both of their reasoning is Scott Parker. And they both say, well, he should have got Fulham promoted, he should have got Bournemouth promoted, and he nearly messed one of them up, and then he had a disaster at Club Brugge. But people always sit there and say, I think Leeds will win the league because they've got a better manager. They've got Daniel Farke. Daniel Farke's got 2 promotions out of this league. So has Scott Parker. Daniel Farke should have got Leeds promoted last season with the squad he did. He didn't. If that was Scott Parker, he would have been absolutely crucified for that. In my personal opinion, I was, to be honest, a little bit underwhelmed when we announced Parker. I think I had the wool pulled over my eyes with the Kompany thing. Obviously, a big name coming in, doing very, very well in his first year. Less said about last year, the better. So when we were linked to the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'm thinking, here we go again. Let's do it all again. So I were sort of like romanticising that again. I do agree with you. Scott Parker's the sensible one. He should get us out of this league with the squad that we've got. Ruud may have been a big disaster. We don't know. But I was underwhelmed when he come in because of that. But as I'm watching, well, I say watching, we've played one friendly that wasn't behind closed doors, and that was all the way in Spain. So I actually haven't seen them in the flesh. I watched it live on a Spanish stream the other day. Interestingly, he kept calling Luca Koleosho Rapido, which I think means very fast. But listening to his interviews and stuff like that, then yeah, I've started warming to the idea. And I'm a 36-year-old man that's just being roped in by an older man that's obviously very charming and has been media trained since the age of probably about 12, and he's been in all that academies and stuff. So maybe I'm just getting roped in by the charm. Who knows? But I'm starting to come around to it. But yeah, we've got a tough start to the season. Obviously, a team that's come down with us in yourselves. Not long after that, we've got Leeds, and then not long after that, we've got Blackburn, who, as we all know, are absolutely horrendous. But we can't lose that match. So it's a very, very, very big month in August for Burnley.
So he's going straight into a pressure cooker, really, isn't it? In terms of like the opposition that you're playing, as well as the fact that you've got that local rivalry that you're obviously going to be absolutely busting the gut to carry on where you started. Because, like I say, when you were promoted last time, you did it at their place, didn't you? Was that right? I feel like,
it was, mate. Honestly,
see you smiling.
The best season in my life. Yeah, the best season that I've seen Burnley finish 7th in the Premier League. I've seen us play. I went to Olympiacos when we played at Olympiacos in the Europa League. I've seen us do a lot better than win the Championship. I've seen us win the Championship before. But to do it how we did it, winning the league at a canter and winning it at their gaff, I'll never be beaten that. And even if they beat us on August the 31st or whatever it is, they'll never, ever, 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 ever take that away from us. Yeah. It can never be topped.
And to be fair, like looking at how things have gone for their summer as well, they're looking a little bit shambolic, to be honest with you. I think that there's a whole bunch of problems with their club at the minute. And we the other day we were doing our our first podcast at the weekend on the main pod, and we were sort of giving our predictions and everything. And I don't know whether it came across, but when you were saying about the fact that you've been put down as sort of 6, like in and around the playoffs sort of thing, I was shocked because we unanimously had you, because of Scott Parker, going back up. I think that the quality of player that you've got, and the way that he'll make you play, I think that you're perfectly suited to bounce straight back. And if we're really honest, we were really quite worried.
But I just think,
yes, all right.
Yeah, I just think with the players that we have, I think people are sleeping on our squad. I think I've seen a lot of different, reasonings and stuff, but I think a lot of people, because of how bad we were last season, and don't get me wrong, we were awful. I fully hold my hands up, we were dreadful. But people are looking at it thinking, Burnley rubbish. Burnley rubbish, they're not going to do anything. Luca Corley-Oshaw, he's fantastic, and he will, if we keep all of him, be brilliant at this level. I think we lose Sander Berge, and I think we lose James Trafford. James Trafford won't be that much of a miss. Don't mention that to Ollie. James Trafford won't be much of a miss, and we might lose Wilson Odebear. But even if we lose them 3, obviously you've got Sander Berge in the middle. We have Josh Cullen, Josh Brownell, Hanno Masengo. Josh Cullen was a Championship Player of the Year the last time in the league. Yeah. Josh Brownell was in the Championship team of the league. Hanno Masengo, up and coming, probably can do a job. We may or may not bring somebody in to replace Sander. Wilson Odebear, probably don't even. He's good, don't get me wrong, and I think he tears the Championship up if he stays, which I don't think he does. But we've got Luca Corley-Oshaw to come in. We've got Anas Sarori. We've got Manuel Benson. We've got all these quality players that play on the wing, and then James Trafford. Like I said, I won't be missing him too much, despite defending him stoutly all year last year against Ollie. But even with that, like I said, I do think people are sleeping on our squad. I think people don't realise how good our squad is. I'll be honest, I think Leeds have a better starting 11, but when you look at our depth, I think we've got the better squad, especially now Leeds have just lost Somerville.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I've written a little bit of a sort of a miniature sort of script almost, and I've actually put about the fact that I tipped Corley-Oshaw to be a fantastic player last year. So having a season back in the Championship, he could be absolutely devastating. You mentioned Somerville for Leeds. Like, he could be that guy for you. I mean, the way I see him play, the way he attacks defenders, I think he's an unbelievable talent. So if you can keep him for this season, I think that you'll be absolutely well set. And the other player that I wanted to mention, because I saw that he scored an absolute belter in the pre-season in that Cadiz game, was Lyle Foster. I mean, is he going to be sort of the main man up front for you this season?
I would think so. Obviously, I always feel like you've got to give like a bit of a disclaimer with Lyle because of his mental health issues last year. Like, he started the season really well. Obviously, got the goal at Kenilworth Road. Yeah, he's one of them lads. Is Lyle that when he goes through on goal, you could put your mortgage on him scoring it. He very, very, very rarely misses one-on-ones. He might not get that because defences might be a little bit deeper in the Championship. Obviously, Burnley is seen as one of the danger teams. But he showed that he's got the quality, that he pinned that goal. Obviously, the goal that he mentioned there against Cadiz, he pinned it in the top bins from about 30 yards. He can be that guy, but he's yet to find the level of consistency throughout the season, and that is the thing that worries me. He's got the quality. He just needs to, this sounds heartless, but he just needs to try and get over the mental health issues now and move on and find that consistency. That the worry with Lyle is that he has another setback, is that he has another mental health issue and he spends another 2-3 months out, because then obviously you've got to get your fitness back up, and that's why we struggled without him last year. So yeah, I do agree. We've got Lyle, and if he can find the consistency, because the Championship's difficult as well. You've got Saturday, Tuesday, then where the fixtures are these days, and Friday, then Sunday, then Monday morning, and probably Monday evening, knowing Sky. So it can be difficult in the Championship. So if he can find that consistency, then yes, I do think he could be that guy. We have been linked to a couple of strikers. I forgot the lad at Bristol City, his name. We've been Tommy Conway, is it?
Oh yeah.
We've been linked to him. Yeah, so I don't know how serious that is yet. I've seen that now Hull are interested as well and stuff, and I feel like if we were interested, we'd have gone in and got it and got it done by now. So we'll see. I would like to see someone else come in to kind of help ease the pressure on Lyle a little bit. But yeah, Lyle can definitely be that guy. Like I said, he was fantastic at Kenilworth Road last season. He was brilliant at Villa Park last season. He had these glimpses of games where he was brilliant, but he just needs to find some consistency, and that's the only issue that I have with Lyle.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I from an outsider's point of view, I think I obviously agree with you, because I think that you can see he's a top talent. It's just a case of keeping him in games, isn't it? So, I mean, what sort of other business? It's been a sort of again, we were discussing it at the weekend. It's been quite a quiet summer for football in general, but especially in the Championship. Has there been any other sort of links or major signings that you've made?
The main links are people leaving. Like I said, Sander Berge will probably be leaving. He's been linked to Man United today.
Yeah.
He's been linked to Man United today. I do think he goes, though. Wilson Odebear as well. And then the others that I've mentioned. In terms of incomings, there's been a couple, but they're all always unknowns with Burnley. Like, it was the same last time we got relegated. Like, we brought in Anas Zorora and Manuel Benson. I'd never heard of them. And then they ended up being fantastic. So I have no doubt that we've done our homework again and they could be fantastic. But we brought in a couple of fullbacks and we brought in a striker. I don't know anything about any of them, if I'm being honest with you. They all looked relatively decent in the friendly. We've got a striker who's, I think he's a French lad. I can't remember. No, he's not from, I can't remember where he's from, but he's called Andreas Ontondre. We bought him from a French side, SC Kane. And he looked okay, missed a bit of a chance in the friendly. We brought in a couple of fullbacks as well. One of them's Lucas Perez, he's Brazilian, and he was taking free kicks like Roberto Carlos. When I say taking them like him, trying to take them like him, they weren't pinging in the top bin, but
20-yard
run up and hitting it in the same way. Yeah. I wonder where this guy gets it from. But so it's just it's been a bit quiet recently and just signing unknowns again. But it worked last time. But there's like I said, a couple of small little nuggets of information out there, and obviously it's the 6th of August when we're recording this now. So who knows? There might be some movement yet between now and the 31st of August, 1st of September, whenever the window closes.
It's interesting, the parallels, because obviously we're sort of sitting here. We've made 2 signings for you to sort of be aware of from your part, and obviously, like we've said before, I'll talk on your podcast as a sort of return the favour. But we bought a young lad called Raul Walters from Arsenal's under-23s, and he was on the bench a fair amount for Arsenal last year. And I think that the plan for him was to sort of integrate him slowly, but he's been thrust in straight away because we've just got no centre backs, Joe. It's crazy how the overspill from the injuries last year have just continued. We've got the core back 5 that they're all out. We had Mengi was the only one that we had that was fit, and he had an injury last Saturday in our last friendly against Celta Vigo. So then you think we've not got Burke, we've not got Bell, we've not got Anderson. We obviously lost Lockyer. So Walters has been sort of thrust into an inside defensive position. And then we've got Shandon Baptiste, who's sort of been brought in, I think, to replace Lokonga more than Barkley. But we're going to struggle against you. And that was the next sort of part I was going to allude to. Sort of obviously last year we had a couple of games against you where we thought we worked ourselves back into it. And then a minute later, a wonder strike gives you the win at our place. And then obviously there was the whole James Trafford versus Adebayo incident up at your place where we nicked a point. But how do you see Monday going? What's your from our point of view, just to be upfront with you, I think that we're a little bit nervous because we're so top heavy and weak at the back that we're worried. I think that's fair to say. So how's things? What's the vibe from your end, and how do you see Monday going?
To be honest with you, I think it's difficult to predict because I wasn't aware of all these injuries. I'll be honest with you, my confidence slowly started going up a little bit then. But we're not one of these teams that's going to, well, I don't know. We might be. I don't know how we're going to play anymore. But we've not got these big bruising centre forwards that are going to bully young defenders. But we will have fullbacks that will run at them. So who knows? We might try and expose you that way. It's interesting. It's difficult to see that. Before you said that, I'd have probably said I'd take a draw. I just don't want to lose the opening game of the season and then it create this snowball effect. Because I remember the 2 times that we've been relegated from the Premier League. All right, there was far more issues than this last season. So the main time we got relegated from the Premier League, the reason why we got relegated, I don't feel like it's because we weren't good enough. Obviously, over the course of the season, you could say we were because we finished 3rd or 2nd bottom, whatever it was that year. But when you look at the players that we had, Nick Pope, Tarky, Ben Mee, we had a good Chris Wood, we had a good squad, but we got relegated because we started the season so badly, and then we're just playing catch up from minute 1, and you don't want to get to that. So I would have took a point, but I guess if you guys are nervous, then hopefully we've got to try and capitalise on it. So it's one of them. Like if we can get another win at Kenilworth Road, and obviously we tend to do quite well. It's interesting because we do quite well at Kenilworth Road, and I would say you do quite well at the Turf, but they just tend to be draws more than anything. But it's interesting that it's interesting that we do tend to do well. All right, obviously, when we're in the Championship, it was a penalty, and like I said last time, it was that wonder strike. And to be fair, Luton probably had the better of that game, especially in the second half. But yeah, it's difficult to say because I've not watched anything of you in pre-season. I've not had chance to watch any of Burnley apart from the one game in pre-season. So it's difficult to say.
It's no real form to go off.
Riddled with injuries. Yeah, we're not riddled with injuries like you are. We do have some injuries at the back, but we are well stacked at centre back. And we've got a couple of injuries to the likes of Aaron Ramsey, who was injured last season and stuff. So we should be able to put out a strong squad, but we don't even have a goalkeeper at the minute. Well, we do. We brought in Haladke. Obviously, just going back to your questions about signings, I forgot about him. We brought in the goalkeeper Haladke from Ipswich, who did well last year at Ipswich, but I don't think he's there to be number one. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do with that one. But yeah. We will be able to put out a strong squad, and obviously just going off what you said about the nerves and stuff from the Luton end, then that might be something that we could capitalise on. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I like I say, it's one of those ones where I'll probably get pelters for being so negative in the first one of the season. I think that, like I say, we played all right against Celta Vigo. Our pre-season's been not great, but like I say, it's one of those ones, having that foundation of having a strong defence is what you want. And like I say, I think that if truth be told, if it goes to type and we have a score draw, if it's a 1-1 again, I think that we'll probably walk out on Monday night thinking that we've done all right there against one of the strongest sides that's going to come to Kenilworth Road for the season. So, like I say, we'll hopefully do all right, but we'll see how it goes. So, but it's one thing I wanted to note, that you said it yourself. It's difficult because there's no form to go on. So we can't really make strong predictions, but. We do have a feature on our podcast, which we've coined as the Sluga Six, as a bit of a play on the Super Six from our flappy-handed old goalkeeper. That's name happens to fit. So, if it's all right, Joe, I'm going to ask you if you could give me some predictions, some score predictions on a few fixtures. It's with a view to we're running a league, and the opposition podcasters are going to have their own place in our league table, with a view to making a charitable donation to Luton Food Bank is the aim for the opposition podcast. So I'm going to give you 6 fixtures, and if it's possible, could you just give us your score predictions? So first and foremost, this one works for double points, so it's Burnley versus Luton. So what are you thinking, Joe?
I would have said 1-1 because obviously just behind the scenes of how these podcasts work, obviously you sent me these fixtures the other day on WhatsApp. I opened them up and I saw Burnley Luton. I thought, you know what, I'm going to close them so I can give like an honest on the dot opinion rather than thinking too much about it. I think when you overthink stuff sometimes, but obviously I've been aware of this one, and I remember thinking at the time, I'll probably predict 1-1 because it'll be tough going to. Because again, you've just said we're probably one of the strongest sides to go to Kenilworth Road this year. This is going to be one of the toughest away fixtures for us this year. So I would have said 1-1, but just going off the stuff that you've said about your injuries, and I do think we've got wingers and stuff that can hurt you. This might be a bit overconfident. I will still bite your hand off on 1-1, but just based on what you said about the centre backs and the injuries, I'm going to go 3-1 Burnley. I think you'll score because, like you said, you're very top heavy, but you seem like you're quite weak at the back. I'm basing that off before any Luton fans give me stick. Just what Phil's just said about injuries.
Yeah, so, shoot me down, not Joe, don't worry. All right, so the next one is Oxford versus Norwich City.
You know what? I think Oxford. I quite like Norwich this year. They've done some good business. I think Oxford were riding on the crest of a wave, though. The crowd will be behind them. So 2-2, a high scoring, high energy game. That one, I think. I think Norwich might eventually be one of the dark horses that sneak into the playoffs. So at the end, and I think Oxford will eventually slip, but they'll have a good start.
Yeah, I think I can understand that. That's good reasoning. I think that we all pretty much went for Norwich because of the reasons you gave about the pre-season, but Oxford will certainly be riding high, and they made a couple of astute signings. They bought Matt Phillips, we saw as well. So they're trying to go about it the right way. So so the next one is Leeds versus Pompey.
Oh, it should be a comfortable Leeds win that. 3-0 Leeds.
3-0, yeah, very much in keeping with the rest of the We Are Luton Town lads. The next one is the one that we found really difficult as a panel to actually talk about because they're two people that we don't really like, and that's Millwall versus Watford. How are you seeing that one?
Yeah, I think they'll both struggle this year, which I'm sure you'll be glad to hear. 0-0. I can't see that being a very good game. Boring. And I mean, I have no beef with either side, but I don't think either side will do very well this year. So 0-0 and just kind of just set the tone for the season.
Yeah, we had that prediction as well. So Mark had that prediction as well. So you'll be well liked with him. Next one is QPR versus West Brom.
You know what? I think I had West Brom to do quite well, but I feel like they've took the foot off the gas a little bit recently. They've sold, I can't remember who it was, but a big player the other day.
Yeah, Thomas Asante.
Just for home advantage. Yeah, that's it. Just for home advantage, I'll go 1-0 QPR.
1-0 QPR. And lastly, Preston versus Sheffield United.
Ooh. Sheffield United, I don't know what to think of them at the minute. They've made some good signings, but then every time I see Wilder talk, he's whinging about how they're miles away. And I saw some of the players, obviously I follow some of the Sheffield United podcasts, and they're all saying, we're still 3 or 4 signings away. But I'm looking at the signings that they've made, and I'm thinking these are really good signings. I would have loved Callum O'Hare at Burnley Football Club if he didn't have such a bad injury record. But I think it's a bit of a risk because of that. He could just do his knee again, for example. But he's a very, very good player. So I don't know what to think about them. I was looking at them thinking, good side. But then when I look at Sheffield United staff and fans, they're all whinging. So I don't know what to think about them. I'm not the biggest fan of Preston, obviously, with it being a Lancashire side. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Sheffield United.
2-1 Sheffield. This is just after, you mentioned earlier on about the date that we're recording as well. Only about an hour or two ago, they signed Harry Souttar as well, the huge Australian centre-back from Leicester. Yeah. So they're slowly going about their business. They're getting stuff done over the line. Yeah. So I when we spoke about this at the weekend, I genuinely had a bit of a side bet with some of the panel saying that I think that Wednesday will finish above Sheffield United because I feel like they could be the one out of the 3 of us that came down that tank. Purely because of what you're saying about the sort of coaching staff and the sort of general vibe around the place. I think they'll finish lowest.
But based on some of the signings, I still think the top 6. I just can't see how all 3 of us don't finish in the top 6.
Yeah. It's one of those ones. But thank you for those contributions, Joe. And Joe, just to get you a little bit of traction almost. What's your @ on Twitter and on social medias as well, so some of the listeners can potentially give you a follow.
Yeah, if you want to listen to my ramblings, you can do so. The Turfcast, just search Turfcast Podcast. The @ is just Turfcast Podcast on Twitter. I think it's just Turfcast on Instagram. And we've just recently hit 35k followers on Facebook as well to search Turfcast. But I know that's rookie numbers compared to you guys on Facebook. I know you guys do very well on Facebook. But yeah, just search Turfcast Podcast. And we do tend to do daily news shows and stuff like that. Now we've really upped the ante. So if you want to keep an eye on any promotion rivals, which I'm sure will be over the course of the season, then that's where to find us.
Brilliant, Joe. Thank you so much for your contributions today. All in all, it's like I say, it's been a bit of an unusual one because there's no form to go off of. There's nothing other than pre-season. Yeah. But very appreciative of you giving you your time. And that's all from me this week. So I just want to give another shout out to our audio partner, Black Star Amplification and Carry On, for providing the sound equipment, and also to our pod sponsor, the Record Shop in Amersham, where you get all your vinyl, CDs and musical instruments. So keep an eye on our socials at The Walk Pod and at We Are Luton Town on X, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. Take care, come on you at us, and best of luck, and cheers, Joe.